And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Joining us now for our annual visit is Dr. Dawn Obeidallah Davis, a PhD in developmental psychology. She's a published author, and she gives people back to deeper meaning. She guides people back to deeper meaning in her open that she sent to me. Embodied presence. I don't even know what this is. We're going to start again. I don't even know what this is. Published author who guides people back. Let's just say published. Okay, we'll do it again. And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Joining us for our annual visit, and it's one too many times a year, it's Dr. Dawn Obeidallah Davis, a PhD in developmental psychology. She's my sister. She's a published author, 15 years of experience and training in yoga, mindfulness, meditation. Learn more at dawndavis.com. Hello, Dr. Dawn. How are you?
Hi, good to be here.
So you were back to help us survive Thanksgiving with a Trump-loving relative. You were on last year, short time after Trump won, right? He had not gotten into office for a second term. Now he's back. And we've lived through 10 months, which has aged many of us here. So before we talk about politics, why is Thanksgiving with family so often so stressful for so many?
Like you're talking pre-Trump even?
Yeah, just in general. Why is Thanksgiving difficult?
I mean, part of it is a few things come to mind. I mean, first, when we get together with our family, some family members are really fun and great to be with, and others challenge us in ways that are beyond our control. For example, it's very easy to slip into this like psychological time capsule where, the most primitive wirings in our brains were established in repeated circumstances again and again with family members. And when we get with them as adults, all those context clues pull us right back into social roles or familial roles. For example, like they could be negative things, like the difficult one, the black sheep. They could even be positive ones, like the funny one, which is what they used to call me. The smart one, and even that's a straitjacket, right? So those things can kind of hem us in. In addition to that, there's unresolved resentments, there's old wounds, there's competitiveness that can be right under the surface, like a scab itching to be picked by someone rolling their eyes just once. That's what it takes. And then the scab is open, the wound is festering, and there you have it. So it can make it feel stressful because we're holding so much back. It can also make us feel exhausted. You ever have that feeling? Because we're pushing down on the lid of an emotional pot of memories and failed expectations, and those things can really, make it stressful for us. And and the other aspect of it, Dean, especially when we're thinking about holidays and not just family get-togethers, like if it was like a 4th of July type of holiday, it doesn't have that same push. If it was a Memorial Day or even a birthday, it doesn't have that same nostalgia usually for a lot of people that the expectation around Thanksgiving and Christmas has. And I think part of that is because we have these fantasies in our minds that are based in nostalgia that might be from, movies or whatever, of the home being full and everyone being fun and like relatively quirky, but not really toxic, where the drunk uncle doesn't corner you or the cousin doesn't say, so when are you going to start having kids? So we kind of have this expectation that it's going to be okay this year.
Right.
And the truth is, there's that.
It's not going to be okay.
Yeah, it's not, because there's a dissonance between expectation and reality, and that's stressful. When our mind is confronted with, this is what I think I'm going to have, this is what I want, this is my expectation, and this is my reality, that can evoke a lot of stress. It also can, something that people don't really talk about, is it can evoke feelings of grief. Grief is very real. It's a very tender emotion. And if we honor the grief that's there, because what we expect is not what we're getting, and we breathe with it and let it move through us, then we're really available to experience the reality of what we have in front of us and to experience ourselves as being, in the moment. So if there's safety hatches, I'm happy to share with you things that people could do if you think that's useful.
Sure. Well, yeah, we'll get to that, but I think it's interesting that you say our wiring is primitive, and then it goes back to early days. So, which explains why so often at family gatherings you hear things like, "You were always like that," or "I can't believe," there you go again.
There you go.
And it comes from that, where something from 25 years ago or 2 years ago, just returns. But I mean, really from years ago, where people say, "Oh, that person's always a jerk." even if they're not anymore. Like
Right.
you're wired to believe they're a jerk, so you process all the data that they give you, all their actions through that prism.
Well, you do. And the thing that is really intriguing about what you're saying is that so imagine even in this moment, somebody comes up to you. It could be a nameless, faceless. It doesn't have to be the usual suspect, comes up and
Mhm.
says, there you go again.
Right.
What do you feel in your body when you hear that? I mean, most of us will have a physiological response, and the response will be an activation, a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of cortisol, and our minds read that as stress. And so our work is to create for ourselves, and I hope your listeners are doing this all year, but especially this time of year, create an opportunity for yourself to feel your feelings at a somatic level. So notice what you're feeling so that you're not stuck spinning in loops and spirals in your head, because who hasn't done that, right? Someone says some crap to us and we're off to the races in our head. That son of a blah, and how could they blah blah blah, right? And I'm going to get them next time, and we've got our prepared statement that
Right.
we're going to deliver. And the truth is, it's that doesn't really help us stay in the present moment. It actually robs us of the experience of our own presence and essence of being there. So, you know, if we work on deepening and developing the somatic a somatic avenue in, if we work on deepening our compassion for ourselves, compassion for what we've been through, we've
Hmm.
all been through a lot, that those experiences can also lead us to feel, hang on, hear me out, compassion for the other person. Because the truth is, we're all so vulnerable. And we really have a shared vulnerability. It's a mutual vulnerability. And we're just walking each other home, as Ram Dass says.
I don't know who that is. I'm
You
trying to
don't know
Dr.
who Ram
Dawn
Dass is?
Obeidallah. No, I have no idea. So, and
Oh my God.
unless no, unless it's a
I'm
political
hanging
figure,
up.
unless it's a political figure or
He's not a
president
political
or John. No,
figure.
unless there is, I don't know these other people. So,
Well,
all right. So, how do
change
you
your
cope?
education.
How do you cope with? So, you people go to Thanksgiving,
Yep.
and even putting aside even the Trump part, like we'll get to the politics part. Just in general, they have to cope with certain relatives they don't really get along with, or
Yeah.
they that stress them out, and they know they're going to stress them out. What do
Yeah.
you recommend?
If they're feeling stressed out by someone, I mean, I would recognize that, you know, the issue around our political differences, it's not, look, I don't recommend ptomaine poisoning because we do want to stay on this side of the prison bar. So don't knock anyone out, but
Right.
recognize this isn't just the difference in political perspectives.
Well, I
There,
mean, but apart from before we get to politics, I'm talking in general.
oh, just in
Like,
general?
how do you cope with a family member that you know is going to they trigger you, they upset you every
Yeah.
time you see them, every
Yeah.
year, you know it, but you still go back.
It's a great
How do
question.
you cope with that?
Yeah. So I think part of it is what we're talking about. You feel physiologically what you're feeling and you breathe with yourself. You
Hmm.
deepen your compassion for yourself. If that translates to feeling more compassionate towards them, fine. Remember Mother Teresa? You know her, right?
I remember, I've heard of her
Yeah.
from
So
Jersey.
she says that people are irrational and they're basically crazy, but we love them anyway. And it doesn't mean love, love, like I'm so glad to see
Mother
you.
Teresa said somebody was crazy. Is that really a quote from Mother
No,
Teresa?
but she does say unreasonable and irrational.
Okay. All right, fair
Um,
enough.
but no, here's the thing. What's happening is our emotional history is getting reactivated. And if we recognize that it's something that they're saying, it's triggering you in the present moment that connects to something in the past. And by staying with your own internal experience, you get to stay more centered. So you're not pulled into their undertow,
Right.
but you're standing on the shoreline and you're like, I'm watching the waves. Because family members can be very challenging. Our goal is not to get them to be less challenging. Our goal is actually not to change their behavior. That is a recipe for driving yourself up the wall and back down again. A much more attainable goal for anybody, for any of your listeners, I think, for any of the people I work with, is to develop the skills to reduce your reactivity to other people's behavior,
Hmm.
to increase your capacity and bandwidth to stay in your center. I mean, even if the people around you are indulging their worst, it's a disciplined restraint. And if you value that, if you value your center, if you value that the holidays are not a time for you to perform, they're not a time for you to stand on ceremony or even a soapbox. It can be a time for you to land into your own presence so that you can give yourself the chance to actually relax and to enjoy the underlying reason for the gathering, right? What there is an
Right.
intention underneath it. And so another thing I'd recommend in addition to feeling your what's happening somatically is to set an inquiry intention. So have you heard, I'm sure your listeners have, maybe you have or haven't, people are setting intentions for manifestation.
Hmm.
I am a super wealthy person, right? So this
Like The Secret, like the book The Secret.
like the book The Secret and every iteration of The
Right.
Secret, which actually came from way before The Secret. She ripped off, anyway, I'm not getting into
No,
that.
I've heard that she ripped off a lot of people.
A
That was her.
lot of
That was
people.
her manifest. Her intention was, I'm going to rip off a lot of popular books, and then she manifested
She did.
and made a
She
lot of money.
manifested herself bestseller.
Right.
So this is a different type of intention. I call it an inquiry intention, and it's where you're setting a framework, for example, that will you can look through the every interaction through this lens.
Hmm.
What would make this holiday feel meaningful to me? You've shifted the whole conversation in your head. It's not about standing on edge, like, what is so
Right.
and so going to say? Or, oh God, he just had his third drink. I know I'm going to hear from him now. It's what would make this holiday feel most meaningful to you? Or in what way am I treating myself? How can I treat myself with kindness here? And that
Hmm.
might mean removing yourself. It might mean looking at the person across the table from you and knowing that we're not, as Jim Morrison, you remember him, right? Jim
Yes, of
Morrison, The
course.
Doors.
That's different. Jim Morrison.
He says
Of
no
course.
one here gets out alive, right? So
Right.
the whole thing is impermanent. That's the universal law on this planet. Everything changes and every mammal dies. I'm
So
sorry.
is that something you
Spoiler
bring up
alert.
at Thanksgiving? Is that one of the
You
things
should bring it up like you're T minus 3 years. No, but
look,
I
you're all going to die anyway, so this doesn't matter. Pass the stuffing.
she'll have more sauce. But I feel like the message that I'm trying to convey, joking aside, is that, we all have a limited time on this planet. So
Right.
it
True.
might be that when you think about how do I want to feel when this holiday is over, maybe you want to feel like you operated from a place of integrity, kindness, and respect. And that might translate into a different way of approaching other people. How can I stay centered? That's
Right.
another inquiry intention. So, anyway, those are
That's very interesting. So let's talk about then the more specific thing. There are people who have family members who disagree politically, and it's
Mhm.
not always Trumpers. I mean, it's overly simplistic to say it's Trumpers. It could be somebody who is, really just sort of like a moderate person, and here's their cousin who's really, really progressive, like way out there, whatever. So what, and it gets in, and there's always a fight over it, and oh, you're just an establishment person, or you're just a corporate Democrat, or it's the MAGA dynamic. But in any event, that you truly disagree on politics and you're both passionate about it. I saw an article about the idea of setting boundaries in advance. What do you think? And is that something that helps? The idea of setting up a framework of what we're going to talk about and not talk about.
Yeah, I think actually that can help a lot. And I have a couple thoughts about that. You can set up a boundary ahead of time, such as, this year, let's keep the holiday focused on us, not a bunch of politicians that we don't even know or policies that actually don't affect us, whatever. You can set it up and just say right off the bat, you don't want to talk about politics. I think that's fair. Be prepared for pushback because a lot of us have learned the hard way that it takes a lot of courage to set a boundary for a lot of us, particularly um, a lot of women I know, it's hard to set a boundary. So you get your courage up, you get yourself set, you set your
Hmm.
boundary, and what you're not expecting is somebody to push back on your boundary. So then you got to reify your boundary, and then they push back, and you got to keep moving. So remember, boundary might be a 3 or 4 step process, and then have something ready to go. Like if they say sure, all right, whatever, and then they're at dinner, they start talking about it, I would definitely have a little statement ready to go. Like, I feel upset when we talk about this, XYZ. I need a peaceful holiday. Would you be
Hmm.
willing to join me in avoiding this topic today? So, what I just did is borrowing from Marshall Rosenberg, who I'm sure you don't know. He
Now, I'm very familiar with her.
he's phenomenal. He's
Oh, to him. I didn't know that.
he wrote a book called Nonviolent Communication. He developed this strategy, and essentially, I'm riffing on that. But you talk about I feel upset or I feel emotional when we talk about this. So you say how you feel, then you say what you need. I need a peaceful holiday.
Right.
And then you ask a request, non-judgmental request. Would you be willing to join me in avoiding this topic? So he actually is a 4-step. I've reduced it to 3 for our purposes, but I think that it's a sane approach. I'd highly recommend it. And then,
So that's
yeah, I've got
so
another option that's
if
dicier.
you're at so you're at Thanksgiving
Yeah.
and you say, "Oh, pass the mashed potato," like we're not talking about politics, and someone goes, "Pass the mashed potatoes," and be careful because they're really expensive this year because Trump did a horrible job with inflation, and then so someone baits you, and
Yeah.
I'm saying like, so what do you do when somebody because someone even being playful, even if everyone goes like, "We're not talking about politics," if they're a political family or a political person, someone's going to bring it up, even playfully, sort of like a probe to see how far they can get away with, and will someone engage them? So what do you do then in terms
Yeah.
of debate and
Right.
not
Good
being a jerk
question.
to a family member that you still want to actually have a relationship with?
Well, and that's key. I mean, you need to recognize that these are relationships you value, and you've had them probably most of your life, and so it's something that you want to maintain.
Hmm.
What you just said, though, is the gold. That awareness is the gold that will make the difference. If we're aware that we're being baited, if we're
Okay.
aware, up there it is, like I see it. Um, you can make a choice. Do you want to get sucked into this combat zone, or do you want to retain your sovereignty if you were a country and your peace? And so
Mm.
you make the decision right there. When you get baited, you can move very easily into fight, flight, or freeze. Amygdala is activated. You got a lot of stress hormones coming at you. Cuts off the prefrontal cortex. You know what the prefrontal cortex does? I'll tell you.
Edit.
It helps you. It helps you stay calmer. It helps you have
Right.
abstract thinking. It helps you edit. So if you're aware of it, then you're more likely to stay in your center, which is much more powerful than getting into the dance. So let's say you notice, okay, so and so just dropped the bomb right when they, passed the cranberry sauce. Then delay your response. That delay allows room for silence, which can
Hmm.
be transformative. It encourages the other person to reflect because what they just said is still ringing in the air.
Right.
It also gives you a strategic pause because you can come back to your own body, you can breathe deeply, you can exhale, and you can get clear on, do you actually want to engage this? Do you even want to respond to the specifics of it? Or do you want to just move on in a more mindful way? And, you can, if they keep coming at you, you can have some validating responses like, I hear you really impassioned about this. For today, I don't want to talk about politics, or I thought we agreed, Bubba. Let's just enjoy each other's company. And I'd also recommend you have a couple specific neutral topics, deflection topics, I call them, keyed up.
Really?
Yeah, like
Going with a plan,
Dancing
like
with the Star
sports.
results. The second place people, they got robbed, I think. I don't know if you watched that last night, but
On who? What was it?
Dancing with the Stars.
You watch that? You're one of those people that watch that?
Yeah, I watch it with my adult children. It's good. You should
That
like it.
is
It's
that is
fantastic.
you're part of
It,
the problem.
it's discipline. It's people moving towards a goal that actually didn't know that they had this talent. Anyway, that's another podcast.
You
But
watch Lawrence Welk after that?
no, thanks. It's
Okay.
lovely to see you tomorrow, today, whatever it is.
No, but I didn't know that. All right. In any event,
So,
no, but okay.
so
So
you
you
want to
watch.
have
But the
neutral
point is, you
things.
pick it. I would think like a sports thing. Like if you know the person
It is
likes the
sports.
same, you like the same sports team, or you like the
What's
same or
yes?
same sport. You're like, hey, did you see the whatever team, the Packers
How's your
played, the
pickleball
Cowboys,
going?
whatever.
Are
Right.
you winterizing your
Pickleball.
home? Blah
Right. Oh,
blah.
yeah, pickleball. Like how embarrassing is that? You play
Totally.
pickleball.
It's
Right.
like
That's
ping
what they should
pong.
say to people.
Yeah. No, you
Pickleball
can't.
is the hula hoop of this generation. It's going to be looked back and people are going to be embarrassed. Like,
That's
what?
hysterical.
You're like, oh, you
I
took
love
three
it.
steps to the net. Wow. Just like ping pong. Stop
Just like it
pretending.
is. It's like ping pong. It's like those chess with big people. All right,
This
I'll
is
give
my
you
advice for people on
one more
Thanksgiving.
topic. One
Bring
more.
up pickleball and then start a whole, but it's okay. It's a fight that's not the same level of passion, right? If you have a sort of a playful fight on an issue that doesn't matter, right?
Yes.
That's one thing. There's a bonding, imagine in
Yes.
that there could be bonding, but there's about things that are your values that you really take personally. If it's about political issues, about communities who are demonized or Donald Trump being a fascist or not being a fascist, I imagine people have much more investment in that
Visceral.
emotionally. So that's where you have the screaming because you can playfully joke about the Giants are great or the Eagles or whatever. Everyone
Yeah.
gets it's sort of a theater going on. This is much more real.
It's real because it's threatened. So we're in a time like if it was 20 years ago and someone said, we're going to take away abortion rights, you'd be like, I'm not that threatened because it's
Right.
probably not going to happen. But the reason why right now all of this is we feel like we're in a tinder box and flames are sparking is because everyone's feeling that their fundamental values are being encroached upon, and they are. And it's really a tricky time. So have some mantras too. My peace is more powerful than their posturing. Or on this Thanksgiving Day, I'm above the fray. Or my
Hmm.
favorite, I'm in charge of my peace of mind. I'm not interested in what's up there behind. That can work.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, thanks. I
I
made
like
that.
from Pulp Fiction, my
Yeah,
name's Paul, this is between you all. Just that kind of thing. Like that's
good
was in
one.
Pulp Fiction where
Hmm.
at the bar with Bruce Willis and John Travolta. I kind of live by that. That's my mantra for life. So last thing is, and I don't know if this is because his politics involved, if it's really instructive or not. Maybe this, but Zoran Mondani and Donald Trump could not be on farther ends of the
Right.
political spectrum on life. And putting aside, there's an overlap on affordability, but just saying that they really are, and they
In New
call each other
York.
names before
I
the
love New York.
meeting and all that. And then they had the fest. It's a kumbaya fest. Everyone gets along. And there were some people who actually extrapolated out into the real world. They go, well, wow, if they can get along, maybe we can find some common ground. I was
Love
on
that.
Piers Morgan show
Wow.
that on Monday, and they just posted it, this whole idea, can't we all get along? And I'm like, Piers, if you watch your own show, I mean, we're supposed to fight. Like I said that to him, and they actually, he laughed. But
Love it.
but he's like, I prefer that we all get along. And I'm like, yeah, that would be great, but I don't know how do you do that? But so is there anything from Zoran and Trump that people can actually take away from that might be instructive?
I mean, in general, I'd say don't base your interpersonal relationship style on politicians who are more interested in optics than they are in connection. So
Hmm.
that's my caveat.
Right.
But I think that there was a lot. I loved actually that press conference between the two of them and listening to what they were doing was so fascinating to me. I mean, there were elements of that discussion that I thought were great. One of them was that Trump was saying he was surprised, and he thinks a lot of conservatives might be surprised too by Mamdani, and I'm butchering this, but anyway, I think that that is really interesting. The idea of being open and curious can help,
Hmm.
as long as you don't infuse it with expectations or you're not doing it in a quid pro quo way, like, okay, I'm going to be curious and open, and therefore you're going to behave the way I want you to. So give up that they're going to change. Work on just what you can manage in yourself, which is your own, like Stephen Covey, heard of him? He talks about he talks about the circle of concern versus the circle of influence. What other people's opinions are is your circle of concern, but you can't influence it. You can only
Right.
influence what you say, what you eat, and what you do. That's kind of it. So I'd stay there. And I think that what they did too, that was fairly brilliant, was they just kept coming back to their shared love of something. So
Hmm.
one
They
of the,
did.
they did it. They shared love of New York is how they, positioned
Right.
it. They opened it.
It's actually true. Yeah.
And even when a reporter was trying to pull Mondani into the disingenuous and insincerity of, didn't you say that he's a fascist? Um, he brought it right back to their shared goal. And Trump actually handled it, I thought, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but he handled it with grace. He handled it with humor. He's like, just call me a fascist. It's easier. I felt
Right.
like that was that idea of, like you were talking about earlier, about allowing there to be humor. I think that's actually quite cementing of relationships rather than dissolving of relationships. So coming back, moving into the things that you shared love could be your
Hmm.
niece, could be
That's
the
interesting.
turkey, could be the turkey sucks, it's dry, I don't know, but something.
Something apart from politics. Well, Dr. Dawn, I want to thank you for your time here. And again, the website is dawndavis.com. People can find your book there, right? And your mindfulness and
Yeah, they
everything
could
you
find
say.
you. I actually have a banner, a free meditation for Dean's listeners.
Oh, wow, you do. You still have that free meditation for Dean's listeners. So go to dawndavis.com because everything about us is haggle. This is what we
Haggle.
do and bonuses and that kind of stuff. And happy Thanksgiving to you. I'll
Happy
see you tomorrow.
Thanksgiving.